What's up, you fucking weirdos? What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Yeah. Weird ones only, we talking that truth. Ghost in the attic, yeah, show me the proof. Aliens creeping, they light in the roof. Minds wide open, we shatter the booth. Conspiracies deep, we digging the scars. Demons and angels and bodies on Mars. Cryptids be watching, they lurk in the dark. Mental on edge, but we glowing like stars. Welcome to the pod, no cap, it's a seance. Whispers in the static, spirits doing dance. Reptiles in suits, yeah, running the lands. MK Ultra made a puppet of your mans. Wendigo hunger, dogman strut, flat woods, eyes glow. Slice through the cut, Bigfoot tagging trees. Marking the trail, weird ones ride, no room for the frail. Talking about trauma, talking that soul. Peeling back layers, we digging a hole. Sacred geometry, numbers align. Ancestors speak through the veil and the sign. Ayahuasca dreams, third eye lit. Shadow self lurking, we making it spit. No mainstream lies. This the dirt where the weird ones rise from the blood and the hurt. Weird ones only, we talking that truth. Ghosts in the attic, yeah, show me the proof. Aliens creeping, they light in the roof. Minds wide open, we shatter the booth. Conspiracies deep, we digging the scars. Demons and angels and bodies on Mars. Cryptids be watching, they lurk in the dark. Mental on edge, but we glowing like stars. Voices in the woods got chills on the neck. Black-eyed kids at the door, now we check. CIA tapped in, fluoride drip. Project Bluebeam, watch that script. Talking about grief, talking about fear. Talking about why them voices appear. Healing the mind while breaking the chain. Spiritual warfare deep in the brain. We don't run from the strange, we live in the strange. Tattoo the truth in the scars and the pain. Stay weird, the mantra we own in the name. Reality bent, so we bend to the same. From the attic to the swamp, we tracking the freak. Where the veil get thin and the silence speak. We ain't your norm, we off that grid. Weird as the wave, yo, this where we live.
Would you like to hear a story?
Hello everyone, it's Connie over on the YouTube channel Talk Spooky to Me, and currently you are listening to Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are. Enjoy!
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with author Bryan Farrell, and I have to say, this was a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed talking to him. Such a sweetheart of a man. I mean, he contributed to my Kickstarter for my movie. He was gracious enough to spend some of his time talking to me for this episode, and he just seems like an amazing person. And I'm glad to have been able to talk to him. So I think you'll enjoy this episode, and I definitely think you should check out his writing, his books. Like God damn it, the title is escaping me. How to Contact the Living, which I'm going to should be delivered here pretty soon. And I'm going to read it, and then I can tell you all about it if you don't, for whatever reason, go out and get it yourself. Um, but yeah, he's a great guy, and I'm glad I'm glad to get to know him. Probably definitely have him back on the show. Um, talking about probably horror movies. Around Halloween, I like to do about a horror movie, about horror movies or something like that. I've done a lot of horror movie chats with Connie, and on the show. So, um, but yeah. Anywho, if you are out there and you are struggling mentally here in the United States, please dial 988 or text even. And they can give you the resources to get you help. And if you're just somebody out there trying to help somebody that you love or that you care about, or even just a stranger, you can also call or text, and they will give you the resources for you to help them. And I think it's an amazing thing um, to have and to utilize if you really need it. So please stay another day. I'm happy you exist. Keep on keeping on. Um, a lot of things going on in this world. People are people, you know, and it's they stress me out. I'll tell you that. They stress me out. But anywho, if you're interested in contributing to the Kickstarter, it's on my website. It's on the main page where the weird ones are podcast.com. You can contribute there. We are a quarter of the way funded. We only have like 20 days left. So I could really use all the help that I can get um, to get this movie funded so that I can actually make it. You know, everything is in, and I just got to pay for everything. So, and, you know, it's not just contributing to the Kickstarter so I can get money. You're also gonna be on the ground floor of something that could be great. Could be something bigger than any of us can ever imagine. You never know. Um, and you get stuff out of it, like, you get posters, you get the screeners, you get physical copies, you can get a signed script, you know, and if the movie becomes big, those things are gonna be valuable someday. Just saying. Um, you know, I don't know what else to do to try and get people interested in the Kickstarter, and I get it, man. I probably wouldn't, if or maybe I would. I don't know. I haven't been in that situation, to be honest with you. Listening to a podcast and them making a movie and trying to do a Kickstarter and stuff. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of amazing people involved, and I can't wait to get started. Um, I think it's gonna be amazing. I think my writing is pretty great. Um, as somebody who has been terrible at complimenting themselves, I think that's I'm trying to turn over a new leaf and give myself a little more compliments, a little more confidence. And I think I'm a really good writer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I'm really good. I'm working on a couple novels, two different ones right now. When I get writer's block on one, I go to the other. Right, I've written a couple movie scripts. I've written a short movie film, which I was supposed to go into production for that for the short horror film. It came from the field last weekend, but we ended up doing a bunch of stuff for my daughter's birthday, and I never got to it. Um, Hopefully, we'll be able to get that done this weekend. That way, I can present it to you guys on the YouTube channel. And I'm really excited about it. I like the little story. So, and then tell me what you think about Friday Night Frights. Are their stories good? Can you understand me? Do I need to upgrade my mic? I kind of think I do. Um, I think I really need to upgrade my computer, and that's another thing. For the Kickstarter, if the Kickstarter is successful, I'll be able to afford some new podcast stuff and make it sound a little bit better, a little bit cleaner too. Um, because I'm gonna need a new computer for editing. um, but anywho, if not, the Patreon's out there. The Patreon can also will also be helpful for future films and stuff like that. The more people I get involved in there, the more of a community I can create. All things horror. That's the top tier. Um, the middle tier, you just an extra podcast and a free coffee mug, which technically not free. Your first month is technically paying for the coffee mug, but um yeah, I'm just trying to make a little family over here. Um, you know, give people something to listen to give them a break from all the hullabaloo going on in the world and everybody else's nonsense. Listen to something spooky. Maybe I do live watch parties too, on movies that are even in theaters. I'm gonna try and see if I can get Arkham. or Hokum screener, and do a watch party on the Patreon for that. Maybe Nick, if I can get it. That is, we'll see. Some screeners are harder to get, so then you don't have to go to the movie theaters. We can just hang out with a bunch of people. Well, there's not really a bunch of people right now, but someday, who knows? We'll see. Um, Anyways, I love you guys. I hope you have a good rest of your week and weekend. I hope the spring treats you well, and I'm so excited for the spring. SK Pierce Mansion, you guys should definitely go check that out if you're in the Massachusetts area, or if you like to travel for your ghost hunts. That's a good place to go. There's a lot of activity. They got security. They're pretty active on socials. They pop up with a video almost every day of something happening in the house. So that's pretty fucking dope. Um, Also, that's where I'm gonna be filming my, movie, so definitely the behind the scenes stuff, probably gonna be pretty amazing. And if you contribute to the Kickstarter, you can get the behind the scenes diaries. So, anyways, let's get into this chat with Bryan. I know you guys are gonna love him. So let's go. Where the Weird Ones Go production. Oh shit, it started. All right. Sorry. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. I have a special guest today. His name is Bryan Farrell. He's an author, and he loves punk rock. So if you don't mind, Bryan, letting the good people know a little bit about yourself and where they can find you if they want to find you.
Yeah, sure. Again, Kevin, thanks for having me on. And yeah, I am an Irish author, mostly horror fiction, but also just kind of spooky stuff in general. So it's not all, hardcore extreme horror or anything. It's more around kind of supernatural, paranormal side of stuff. So I have one novel out, How to Contact the Living, which is best described, I suppose, as a darkly comic paranormal thriller. Or the more easy way I describe it to people is if you took the Patrick Swayze Demi Moore movie Ghost and just remade it as a buddy cop action comedy. That's pretty much where that sits. I've got another horror novella called Maul, which is kind of like a Evil Dead inspired supernatural story set in the Scottish Highlands. And then I have my first short fiction collection, 13 stories, coming up later this year, and that'll be a mix of horror, spooky stuff, a little bit of sci-fi. So that's me, and Kevin, as you said, big fan. Punk music is a huge thing for me. Just a huge fan of that. That's always been a huge driving force for me. But also just anything paranormal, also separately to that. So I mean, like my Instagram handle is paranormal_punk. So that pretty much does what it says on the tin, as far as that goes. And as far as paranormal stuff, that's just been a lifelong interest for me. I'm whether you call it fortunate or unfortunate, I've never had an experience myself, not really. So that's always, but I'm always putting myself in positions where I'm hoping that will happen. So going on ghost tours, doing a little bit of paranormal investigating way back in the past. Hasn't happened yet, but never say never. And also, I guess, careful what you wish for. And
True.
so from Ireland, grew up in Ireland, spent 13 years living in Australia in my kind of 20s and 30s. That's where I met my wife. And we moved back to Ireland in 2020 and living here since then and just living life and enjoying things as best we can.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you met the love of your life. That's amazing. Not a
Thank
lot
you.
of people get that.
No, I definitely don't take that for granted. So
That's amazing too. That's like one of my favorite accents to make fun of. Is the Australian one. Sometimes I try to do like a British accent, and then it just ends up sounding Australian, and then I just sound stupid because I'm trying to be English, like Great Britain. Um and then everybody's like, "That's Australian, you weirdo." And I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, fuck me then." But
Yeah, I lived in Australia for 13 years, and I can do like little snatches of the accent, but I could never get it right. And like even my wife says to me, as soon as like if I imitate her or try and say something in an Aussie accent, I just come out sounding like a Cockney, like a London, like kind of Oliver Twist kind of accent. Like I just can't.
yeah.
I don't have a good mouth for accents or a head for accents. So I'm right there with you, Kevin.
Oh man. Well, with my uh now that I'm trying to get into making a movie, I was like, well, what if I could do an accent? The closest thing that I could probably do really well is probably a Massachusetts accent, which is
Hmm.
where this movie that I'm making trying to make anyway. We'll see if it gets funded. Um but that's where it's going to be based anyway, is Massachusetts. And maybe I could do New York, but I don't know. Not that I mean, I really don't care to be an actor, but I do love writing. I've loved writing for a long time, so I love getting the chance to talk to authors. I think it was like for me, second grade. My second grade teacher used to have us write little short stories, and so it was like these little like pieces of paper, and it had a blank slate on the top so we could draw pictures, and then a couple lines to write our story. And
Hmm.
then once we finished it, she would laminate it for us so it would look like an actual book.
Oh wow,
So I
that's
wrote
cool.
so many of those little books, and ever since then, I was like, I want to be a writer. And I've written so many stories. I've never, like a lot of stories, I've never finished. I think in high school was like another like I wasn't a good kid, but as well as in high school I wasn't anyway. Um I was terrible. But I had a I had English class, and they wanted a 50-page short story or something like that. Or maybe it was 20 pages. I can't remember, but I wrote it about an Italian mob, without using swears and stuff like that, because obviously it's school.
Yeah.
But my teacher was just like, she was like so excited about it, and I was just like, this is weird for me because I never had a good rapport with this teacher. And she was just like, this is amazing. You have to write more and stuff like that. So every once in a while I'll get like somebody that says something to me about my writing, and then I'm just like, oh wow, I could probably do this for a living. And here I am. I've never done anything with it until now. And sometimes I wonder if it's just like that moment, where like that thing where it's like things only happen when they're supposed to happen. So I wanted to ask you, what was your inspiration to start writing?
Yeah, well, look, what you said there, Kevin, like I was probably much the same. Like in high school, we say secondary school over here, same. I was a terrible student. Like I didn't go to school a lot of the time. Like I
Mm,
was kind of wrapped up in my own head, and academically, I just didn't enjoy it. But English class was the one class that I did enjoy, and again, similar to that, we had a great English teacher, like kind of one of those English teachers from like, I'm not going to go as far as Dead Poet Society, but like one of those English teachers who was encouraging and did connect with you, and same as that, like had like we would write little things for class or whatever, and he would be encouraging to me. And like as you say, like it goes a long way. Like you just
it
someone is saying,
really does.
yeah, like you might not, especially like when we're teenagers, even the best teenager is a head case. Like we're all, even even the popular kids who seem to be doing everything brilliantly, like they're under different pressures from their parents or from society or from their peers or whatever. So
Mm,
I think with teenagers, like if someone can cut through the mental fog and say, you made this and this is good, like it's a lot. It's a lot for a kid, a kid to hear. So for me with writing, I grew up a huge reader. I was always a huge reader. That was always something I loved. Like I love movies, love music, but books are always like a huge part of my life. My mother actually would be like, when someone says someone is a voracious reader, that would be my mother. Like my mother normally has 3 to 4 books on the go at any one time. So I always grew up with kind of that being just like, oh, you know, people read, that's what you do. Like that's you know, when you like my mother, like literally if you leave her alone for 5 minutes and then you turn back, she's got a book. You don't know where she got the book from or where she had it secreted on her person, but she's got the book. So I guess part of it was always growing up in a house full of books, loved reading. And I guess this might have happened with you a little, Kevin. Like, you know, when people love movies and they love watching movies, but a certain type of person watches the movies and they just love, like, they might say, well, I want to be an actor. Or they might look at it and go, I just like being told a story and this is entertaining. And then other people will watch a movie and you're kind of thinking, it's interesting the way they did that, or I like that dialogue, or, you know, who's the person who made this? Like, I know the actors are saying the words, but who's the person who put the words in their mouth? And the same with, you know, and the same with reading a book. For me, like, I loved reading a book. I love being told a story, getting lost in a story. But I would start to kind of look at like, I see what he did here with this character, or, you know, I can see, that would have been a tricky plot point to work out. So I guess I just love books so much. I was always just had in my head, I want to make one of these. Like, I want to put something out into the world so someone will read something I wrote and say, you know, I like that, or I see myself in that, or I'm having a terrible day, or I'm having the worst week of my life, and this book is the thing that's getting me through it. So I always had that just kind of in my mind. And then again, just going back to the lifelong love of all things supernatural and paranormal. Like, it was pretty much, it's years ago now, maybe, I'll say 10, but it's probably longer. And I had one of those like moments where I woke up in bed next to my wife and I was like, I've got a great idea for a story. and that became How to Contact the Living, my first book. So I guess that's the long way of saying that's how I got into writing. Was just loved books, loved reading, and it was always like, I want to be in this world. I want to put something into the world that other people can read.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, I grew up, my mom was the same way as your mom. Every time you turn around, she had a book in her hand, sitting on the couch in the living room, and chewing on a piece of bubble gum, just blowing bubbles, just sitting there with a book in her hand. But my mom had this huge collection of VC Andrews. I don't know if anybody else's mother had this, but it was books by VC Andrews, and I always thought they were like the same book. It had a big print of VC Andrews was the author, but they obviously each book was a different story, and I thought they all went together in a chronological order, but they're all different stories. They're just written by the same person. And I never saw any one of these books in her hand. I never seen her reading them, but she had like 20 of these books that all looked like they were this like in a series together, and they were always put in the bookcase in the center of the bookcase together, or they had like a whole shelf of their own, one or the other, but they were always right there together. There was never one somewhere else. And I've always been curious that if anybody else out there, anybody listening, if their mother, parent, whatever, sibling had something like that, because I guess VC Andrews was big in the 80s and 90s apparently. But yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about How to Contact the Living, because that is what it's like. A cop trying to solve his own death, right? His own murder.
Yeah, essentially. So, well, I guess you'd say it's a cop trying to solve the case which killed him. So it's basically like the premise of the book is which opens the book, so it's not a spoiler. He was inadvertently face to face with a serial killer, and it did not end well for him. And now he's trying to come back to get someone to help him stop the killer, because he's the only one with this knowledge. So basically, the deceased spirit of the cop, Owen, the only person he can get through to is Will, who is an amateur paranormal investigator. It's not really the best equipped to like solve crimes or do anything particularly actionist, but Owen doesn't really have a choice. So it's kind of the two of them. So the push and pull is, Will is obviously overjoyed to actually have made contact with a ghost, because this is something he's been looking for his whole life as a paranormal investigator.
Mm-hmm.
Owen needs him because Owen can't do anything. He's a disembodied spirit. So it's the two of them trying to work together, you know, but obviously being complete opposites. And then there is a little bit more going on behind the scenes that either of them really are talking about at the start of the book, and that kind of becomes the central mystery as it goes on.
That sounds like an amazing premise of a story, to be honest with you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Dude, that like I would never have come up with something like that, to be honest. That could be, I can guarantee you that if you wrote that out into script form, I bet you somebody would buy that and make it. That sounds like it would be not only does it have like it would have action, right? I'm assuming, because I'm gonna get the book, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, and I want to get your other one too, the Maw, um, that Maw one. But anyways, so like it sounds like you got a little bit of action, a little bit of mystery, and a little bit of comedy. So
That's
like
right. Pretty much.
that's like a perfect movie for to be going out these days. Um, I could I can visualize it without even reading it already. But when I have my ideas, I'll be like, I have this idea, and at this point, my girlfriend is just like, another one. I have so many, I just haven't finished any of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and it's always like the honeymoon phase, isn't it? Like it's always fun when you have the idea and like, this is great, this is fantastic, and then you actually have to settle into it, and you're like, oh, can someone else do this? Like I feel like I just want to be an ideas man and just get
Yeah,
someone else to do it for me.
yeah, exactly. Like I have, like once I decided to do this found footage film that I'm working on, I started having epiphanies for other movies that I could realistically just do by myself.
Yeah.
And so I have this found footage one, and then I have another one pretty much worked out, but then I have a bunch of ideas. And I kind of like just sat down and was like, well, how do I, for a couple of them, and I'm like, I don't even know, like the idea is there, but I don't know how to make it horrific. Like, I don't know how to make it scary at this point. Like, because I mean, I'm still like working on other stuff, so it's not my main focus. But at this moment in time, I like the idea. It's just the execution of the story at this point for a lot of them. Um, and that's like with my two books that I wrote too. My first one, way shorter than I feel like it should have been. Like I should have went into more detail, and I don't like the way I formatted it. I formatted it further, like the spacing between each sentence is really far, and I'm like, I don't like the look of it. It looks silly. It doesn't look professional. But um
It's hard though to like you're kind of like, okay, that's done, moving on. Like I do know exactly what you mean. Like I have the same stuff where I look at something I've done and go, oh, I should go back and tidy this up, or I didn't give this as much as I could have at the time. But like I
mm,
think you got to take it all as lessons at the same time. And I find sometimes with like you said, like with ideas, you get the great idea, but then it's the execution of it, or like your brain kind of goes, yeah, but how would that work? Or like if this is your idea, et cetera, et cetera. It's almost like your brain's like immediately an unreceptive audience screaming at the screen, going, "No, that doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't happen." But
yeah,
you know, that's
exactly.
that. It's just hard. But you know, like, and again, I don't know if this happens to you. Everyone's different with creative stuff or writing, but like, there'll be something. Like one day I'll be writing something and I can't make it work. Like I'm there for like 3 hours just bashing away at this chapter that I'm like, this doesn't work, the whole thing doesn't work, and then my life's gonna fall apart. My wife's probably gonna leave me. I'll end up homeless. I'm out in the street because I can't make this chapter work. And then like you go for a walk, or you take a shower, or you know, talk to a friend, or talk to your partner, or whatever. You come back to it the next day and you sit down and go, you know, the book doesn't actually need this chapter at all. Like it's, you know, it's sometimes it's just when you just let things shake loose in the background. Like I think for me, and again, everyone's different. Like it's when I try and pounce on an idea and wrestle it and go like, work for me. Like that's when I kill it. You know, so
Yeah.
like the fact that like I know what you were saying, that you've got all these different ideas and like I could do this, and what if you did this? But like that's a great position to be in, because there's people out there who would kill to have one good idea.
Yeah,
You know, I know it can be
that's
like,
true.
you know, you can get frustrated that you're like, well, what one do I choose and how do I make this go to fruition? But like even, you know, you mentioned the movie you're making, like you're making Secrets of Densmore Manor, which
Yep.
is your, you know, going to be your found footage. And like, and I can say for me, as someone who loves found footage horror, when I saw you're making it, I was like, yes, this is the perfect movie for Kevin to make. Make this so that I can watch it. But but that's taking the idea and letting it go to its end point, where you now are actually like, all going well, you'll be making this movie. But even if something happens between now and then that you're not making this movie immediately now, you wrote the screenplay, you figured it all out. That's, I think your brain kind of, it's like neural pathways or mental pathways. Like your brain goes, oh, I can successfully conceive of an idea and see it to its conclusion. And I think when your brain does that a couple of times, it kind of gains confidence in doing those things. Like I know for me, like I'll sit down to write a short story, and about halfway through I'm like, I can't finish this. I don't know how to finish this. I don't know how you end a story. Who do I think I am? And and then but you just kind of go, no, I've done this before. I can do this again. But it's just it's a process, isn't it?
It is. It's wild sometimes. Sometimes, like with the overflow of ideas, I had 3 ideas come to me in one day, and I'm like, "Hey Siri, take this idea down," because I drive for work, so I'm just like, and I'm just like, "Hey, take a note," and then I tell it, and then I try. I'm not talking to you right now. I'm sorry for saying your name. Um, but but yeah, I do that when I'm in the mode of trying to put in a story. I'll get stumped, and I'm like, well, what do I want? Where do I want to go from here? I was like, does this make sense, or does this make sense? And then like, I'll go upstairs, I'll eat something for dinner, or I'll make a snack, and I'll hang out with my daughter, and sometimes it will be like 2 days, and I'll be at work. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll be driving down the highway in the pitch dark, and all of a sudden I'm just like, hey, and then I'm just like, I'm yelling at my phone. I'm like, take this note down, and then I work on it later.
Oh, that's
But
great.
yeah, it's weird. It's weird how ideas come, for sure. But I do want to ask you, because I haven't read the synopsis for Ma, but it looks good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was pleased with that. It came out pretty good in the end. Again, every story just like, this could go anywhere. Like this could either just end up being nothing or it could be terrible, but I was pretty happy with it.
Nice, nice. So, for the listeners, if you don't mind giving a little bit of the synopsis of that one.
Yeah, sure. So a bit of the background with Maul is late last year, as a collaboration with indiereads.org, which sadly they still exist as an organization, but they don't have a virtual bookstore anymore. But last year they still did.
Oh,
And I got in touch with them and just said, look, I was kind of thinking of doing something for charity. Would you be interested? And they came back straight away. Evan Peck actually is the guy who runs Indie Reads and runs the Indie Reads Alliance now, and lovely guy. And he just said, yeah, hell yeah, like let's do it. And I said, how would it work? Like I basically just want to give it away, get people to pay for it, and I'll just give 100% of what I make to these charities. So it was Red Cross Ukraine and UNICEF Gaza were the two specifically that I just basically wanted to split it between them. And they came back and said, we'll donate all of our stuff as well. So basically they didn't take any money. I didn't take any money. So we just got to release this e-novella on the website, which is Maul. We ended up raising a little over €200, which I think is like $250 for the charity. So I was happy with that. And so it was pumped. And so Maul, the actual story, so it is set at Halloween. So we released it in October. And it is set in the Scottish Highlands. And you've got the main character who is returning home because her grandmother, who is the Maw of the title, has called her and said, look, I'm very sick. Your elderly uncle who lives with me is very sick. We just need you to come home and take care of us for a couple of days. When she gets to the rural house that she was raised in by her grandmother, she finds her grandmother missing, and her uncle, who was always a bit eccentric, is acting even crazier than usual. While she's waiting for her grandmother to show up, she walks around the house. She finds her grandmother's diary and starts flipping through the pages because that's what she does. She has no boundaries, and she starts flipping through the pages and starts finding out some very worrying things about what had been happening in that house over the last few days. And that culminates in some pretty spooky, crazy stuff. And there was also a meditation app on her grandmother's phone, which is not user friendly in any sense of the word. So that kind of comes into it as well. But it's just kind of bringing in, there's a lot to do with generational trauma in there. There's a lot to do with just relationships. I find everything I end up writing comes back to people and communication and miscommunication, as the case may be. So I've always got a little bit of all of that. And it's, I guess, How to Contact the Living is definitely, I don't call it a horror, I call it a paranormal thriller, and with comedy elements. Whereas Maul would be more, there's still a few bits of, like, I guess, funny, because I can't help but try and put that in, but it's pretty much a straight horror.
Awesome. That sounds intriguing as well. I'll have to definitely gonna have to get that one. I love I love scary stories. I love horror movies. I love anything spooky. Um, I don't know what it is really for me. I think I like uh not being in control of my emotions, I guess, if that's how I guess I could say it that way, where like I allow something to scare me or to make me feel unsettled when I know it's just a story, you know? I know it's
Yeah.
just meant to entertain, but you know, I let it scare me, especially when it comes to movies. When there was a freaking movie, I can't remember what it was, but it was on Netflix years ago. I think it was like 2017, 2018, and it was like a babysitter, and she was trying to steal there was three kids. She was trying to steal the youngest one for herself because her baby passed away or something like that. And the oldest brother was 11, so I think the little one was like supposedly like 3 or 4, so like toddlerish. And then there was a girl that was in between those ages. So the 11-year-old's trying to protect his siblings the whole entire movie. And I remember my ex-girlfriend at the time. I was sitting on the edge of her couch and I was squeezing I was up and like staring at the TV, and you know it's fake, you know it's not real, but I'm like squeezing the edge of her couch, and she's just like she taps me on the shoulder, and I'm just like, and I didn't even look at her, and I'm just like, I moved like this, but I kept my eyes on the screen. I'm like, what? And she's like, you know this isn't real, right? And I was just like, it's better for you know. So like I love it when a horror movie can really make me feel something,
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
that's what I hope to to do with my storytelling and in my movie ability. I don't know if it will happen, but I'm really hoping that I can unsettle people the way that I like to be when I watch horror.
Yeah, and look, I think, if you're going into anything, whether it's making a movie or writing a story, if you're going in with the right intent, I think that is just so much of the battle. Like, as in, you're not, like, say in your example, you want to make a movie that makes people feel how you feel when you're watching, when a horror gets you. You
Mm-hmm.
want to make people feel like that. There's other people out there making movies because they're like, I want to make a movie, and that's okay. But I guess more like, I want to be seen to be a filmmaker by whether it's social media or my friends, or I need this for my ego or something like that. Whereas when you're going into I'm going to be a filmmaker because I want to put this story out there. I want to put these stories out there and connect with people and turn what I love into, well, obviously, ideally into income, but even just into a solid thing that is out in the world. I think you're going in with the right intentions. And like, I think for you, is like, I know you're a big, like you said, you're a big horror fan. Like, that's who you want making a found footage horror movie. You want someone who loves this stuff to be, taking what they saw and then channeling it through their sensibilities and their storytelling voice, and then putting it out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Found footage is something that there's a lot of them that I enjoy. There's actually a new one coming out called Hunting Matthew Nichols.
Okay, I haven't heard of
Maybe
that
that
one.
maybe it might it's the first name I might be getting wrong, but his last name is definitely Nichols. And it looks like it's filmed like a documentary, like his mother or something is trying to find him. It's him and his
Okay.
friend went out into the woods and they brought cameras with them, and then they're missing. So she's also taught. So like I think it's his mother or sister, older sister, one or the other. It doesn't say in the trailer who she is to him, but yeah, it's her trying to fight for answers of what happened to them out in the woods.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it looks crazy. Um, I mean, again, music does wonders for a trailer.
Yeah.
If the music you get the right music and you pick the right scenes out of your movie to make the trailer will pop. And that trailer looks amazing. And I think that movie comes out in April. So
Okay, geez, I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, that like I don't know if you know. Have you watched 28 Years Later? Like the 28
yes.
days. You watched 28 Years Later. I don't know if you remember the trailers for that one. They had this really specific. It's like a poem called Boots,
Hmm.
and it's kind of in all the trailers for 28 Years Later when it was coming out last year. They had this. It was really hypnotic. It's like I can't even do it now, but it's just like if anyone's seen the trailer for 28 Years Later, it's an old poem I think from like the 1940s or something, and they kind of overlaid it over the trailer, and it just turned it into this thing. You're like, what is this? But apparently Danny Boyle, who was directing 28 Years Later, like that song, that kind of recorded poem, was not in the movie. They just used it for the trailer, and
Yep.
there was such a strong reaction to it being used in the trailer. He quickly edited it into the movie because he
No
was like,
shit.
"Yeah, really," because he was just like, "Oh, look, people's favorite thing about the trailer was this song. This poem. We better get it in there somewhere." So he, as you say, like a well edited trailer with the right music over it. It's just, and like even you would see it, Kevin. Like sometimes, they bring out a teaser trailer for something, and just
Hmm.
whatever way it's caught, or maybe they don't exactly know yet how they want to market it, and you watch it and go, like not for me. And then suddenly trailer number 2 comes out, where they've figured out maybe more how they want to angle who they're selling the movie to, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go see this. It's like the trailer is so much to do with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I put out a teaser for mine, and it's just literally like the interrogation tape of the cult leader. And I've noticed this about my stories is that I always put something to do with like a cult. It always
That's your
ends up
thing.
going like leaning towards a cult. Like a cult used to be there, or a cult was there, or there's a cult there now. Like one or the other. Um, and because I think I'm not in my first book, but my second book has like little like nods to a cult a thing going on, and then my third book is gonna have more of a cult presence in it, and then the movie the found footage movie has the house has a cult background, so they find this interrogation tape on the internet when they're researching the house, and it's of the cult leader after he was arrested for
Mm.
murdering like a bunch of young women and stuff like that. So like the guy that I got to act as the cult leader, he's amazing. But the guy that is his friend, he sounds he's supposed so the cop is supposed to be in Massachusetts because this is where it takes place. Um I think I might have been already explaining this to you earlier.
Just about the Massachusetts setting.
Yeah. All right. So he sounds a little bit more New York
Mm.
than Massachusetts. So I got to work with him on trying to honing in that Massachusetts sound because I want it to be as authentic. Obviously, for everybody who's seen it or listened to it, um, it's gonna sound more like an interrogation tape when it's in the movie. So like right now it sounds professional, like two people just, talking like you and I on a
Mm.
podcast. But I want it to sound more like echoey, like they're in an
Yeah,
interrogation room and all
I
that
get you.
stuff, and
Like
grainy.
like the reel to reel kind of sound, like the yeah, I get you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, like, and the lines are probably going to change too, but I just wanted to like put something out for people to be like, oh, this might be interesting.
Sure.
But it hasn't gotten a lot of views,
Is
which is
it
fine. It's not the end of the world.
is it on YouTube, Kevin? The
Yeah,
trilogy?
yeah, I put
Okay.
yeah, it's on YouTube Shorts and it's on my regular videos.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen it, so I would definitely be interested to see that.
Yeah. Um I'm super excited, and I love talking to other people who write and create about my ideas as well. Um so it's man, this I was halfway through the script when I decided to like really start putting in work to get people in on it. And Connie, my friend Connie, was the first person that I thought of to play the main character. And I asked her, and like within like 5 minutes, she texted me back, and she's like, "Yeah, duh." She's like, "Yeah, duh, I'll do it."
Yeah, duh.
Like, she's like, "Who the fuck you think I am?" And so then I started writing more of the script, and then the story changed for me in my head. So then I threw that out, and I started writing it again, and then it changed again, and I started. So now I'm like halfway through it now, and I think I have it down officially.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. It's I think I personally I don't give myself many compliments, but I think this story is good, to be honest with you. Now it really comes down to the funding and how we execute it, because the funding will help with the execution, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I have to do it myself, it's going to take a little bit longer, and it's not probably not going to be executed as well because I won't have all the access to all the things that I wanted or needed. So we'll see what happens with that. Have you ever wanted to write a screenplay or make a movie at all, or are you just into you're fine with make writing books?
Look, I love movies. I think I am not as like Kevin. You would be a go-getter, like as I know, because I've listened to you on different podcasts and I hear you on David Don't Know. Like I suppose for me, one thing about books is it's something I have control over. Like I can write a book, I can get it published, and I don't need a team of people or a lot of money to do that. So I think the only like
Mm,
I would love to make a movie. I've written one screenplay, one full screenplay, which is kind of like a workplace night out type of comedy. I actually put it on my website because I was just like, I'm just going to put it out there. Like it was just fun to write. I had a lot of fun writing it. So my website, actually, sorry, I didn't say it. So the website is bryanfarrellauthor.com, Brian with the Y. But I have like an extra feature section on my website, kind of like old DVDs where you had like all the bonus features and stuff. So on my website, I just put stuff up there where I was like, I have no home for this. It goes in the extra features page of my website. So there's
mm,
like an entire screenplay on there for like a kind of comedy party type of movie. So no, look, I would love it. And there's a few of my short stories that are actually going to be in 13 stories where I'm like, geez, someone could just easily make a movie out of this. Now that again, as you said, Kevin, you don't want to come across like egotistical where you're like, someone could make a movie out of this and make $1 million. But you're just like, some of them are just like, you're like, this lends itself to easily being filmed. Like for instance,
mm,
one of the stories that'll be in 13 stories is called Home Afraid, which is a play on Home Alone. And basically the entirety of the story is just a little kid, 11-year-old kid, is home alone, watches a couple of horror movies that he shouldn't watch, gets himself really scared, and certain things happen while he's running around the house. And I'm like, if you had the right kid, a house you could shoot it in, you could put up a YouTube short,
mm-hmm.
pretty quickly. But again, it's, and that's easy for me to say, harder for someone else to do. So no, I definitely would love to be involved in movies in any capacity, but it's just, it's I guess when like I struggle with procrastination, I struggle with motivation. Those other uns I struggle with, and so for me, I'm like, I'll channel my energies into writing these books and these stories. If I start to veer off into something else, I'm worried that instead of multiplying my energy, it'll actually dissipate my energy. Where I'm just not getting these things done. So for now, my focus is on story writing, novel writing, short stories. But look, if Sam Raimi or Eli Roth or someone like rang me up tomorrow and said, "Look, we need you to do some work at the script," I wouldn't be like, "Guys, look, I don't. I'm a novelist. I don't touch this stuff." You know.
That's funny. Um, I wrote a script and a 144 page. And I submitted it into 3 competitions, and 2 of them the deadline is tomorrow. So, and then the third one is the deadline is May 31st. And now there's cash prizes for like the winners and stuff like that. And I'm really hoping to win because that could also I would put that in a savings just to make more movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Um,
exciting.
but if, like if a production company wanted to buy it, then I'd get even more money. But the script that I wrote that I put into competitions, I cannot do on my own. It's a period piece.
Oh,
There's only going
sure.
to be a lot of money for costumes, a lot of money for like you got to build like a little town and stuff like that. And it's a Native American lead. So like there's a native village you'd have to build too and stuff like that. So for somebody like me, I would be more of a one location person. Like this found footage film, Secrets of Densmore, is mainly one location. There's like 2, maybe 3 other locations that we're going to be filming at, but those are just like the short in the beginning stuff. Like the bulk of the movie is going to be in the mansion. And the movie that I want to go into next, if I can execute this one, is going to be all one location. And you said something earlier, like how do you make dialogue? Like you look at a story and some people might just be like, oh, that was a good story, but other people would be like, who's saying this? Like, how did you get this conversation or role and stuff like that? And somebody that I admire in that in that mode would be Quentin Tarantino.
Hmm.
Like you got Reservoir Dogs, The Hateful Eight, and stuff like that, where it's literally they're just in one room the entire time. The movie is driven on dialogue,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
and I want to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. No, that's great. And it comes back to like with Secrets of Densmore Manor, or as you said, the second movie just being a single location. Like you're concentrating and making the stories you can make instead of kind of throwing your toys out of the pram and saying, I can't make it blockbuster. I can't, there's a lot of people out there like, well, I've got this movie idea, but I can't make it because I can't afford the CGI. And you're like, well, maybe that's not the movie idea you should be concentrating on. So, the fact that you're going, I would like to make these stories eventually if someone gives me the money and the backing to do it. But for now,
Mhm.
this is the story I can tell. Like, I think that's the right attitude. Like, I think that's the attitude of someone who just wants to create something and put it out into the world, as opposed to someone who just wants to talk about creating something and, have that chip in their shoulder about, well, if I had a trust fund, I could make a movie. And like,
Yeah,
well, could
absolutely.
you? So I think that's great. And like I said, like look at like found footage, for example, like just in general as a genre, like so many directors have started in found footage or started, like you said, and even forget found footage, Quentin Tarantino, like Reservoir Dogs, like a single location, because that's the story he could make at the time. I'm sure he probably wanted to make Pulp Fiction or, like you said, like The Hateful Eight, or he loves Kung Fu movies. He probably wanted to make like Kill Bill as his first movie. But he was like, well, I
Hmm.
can't, nobody knows me. Nobody's going to give me $100 million to make this, but they will give me this much money to make this. So I'll just make the best this that I can. And at least if no one ever lets me make anything again, I did the best I could. And like you said, like Reservoir Dogs is like there's Quentin Tarantino movies I don't like, just because sometimes I think he's almost too Quentin Tarantino. Like I think ever gets to that stage where they just have this signature, and that's okay. Like as in, just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I actually really enjoyed, but I'm also like, you could take like half an hour out of this movie and you're losing nothing. But he's just allowed to do that because he's Quentin Tarantino, and that's cool. But like
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs is just lean and mean, and there's no extra in it because he probably couldn't afford to have anything extra. And he's like, I've got this many days to shoot. This is my budget. I can't have, this extravagant scene. And it's just, yeah, it's just crazy. Like that movie is just from start to finish, like you said, it's all one location. I mean, I guess there's stuff in the diner at the start, and there's a couple of little
Yeah.
tiny bits, but it's really just that location with the right dialogue and the right actors, and it's just, yeah, it's magic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't care to be like famous. Like I'm sure you don't write to try and be famous. You're just
I mean,
writing
I
because you have
wouldn't
a story
mind.
to tell. Right. Right. It'd be nice to be like to be recognized as a writer and people want to actually like be like, well, I can't wait for the next Bryan Farrell book to come
Yeah,
out because I'm definitely gonna get it. And then, you build a fan base that way. And
yeah.
I'm
But
really
I
hoping,
hear you. Yeah, it's not.
yeah.
It shouldn't be the sole aim of you creating something to be like people will know me and worship me.
Yeah. I mean, that's like when I started this podcast, like people that I know in real life, they're like, what do you think you're gonna be fucking famous, like the next Joe Rogan? I was like, actually, I have 2 listeners and that's all I need. So,
That's enough.
you
Everything
know,
else is just gravy on top. But
yeah.
that's it. Like you said, like that. Like, is in like everyone. I'm sure there are people out there making podcasts because they think eventually this will lead to this or this. But like every podcast I listen to, the few podcasts that I've been on to talk to someone, like it's because you want to talk to people. Like you're like, I am interested, I am curious, and I want to talk to people, especially like you said, like the same as you, Kevin. Like I love talking to people about writing or horror movies or books because generally speaking, day to day, you don't get that. Like you don't like. I work with lovely
Mm-mm.
people in my day job, but like if I suddenly started talking to them about how you structure a paragraph or like would you say Evil Dead 2013 or Evil Dead 1980? Like if you had to, like they don't have a frame of reference for that. Whereas when you're doing this podcast stuff like that you're doing, you're talking like I've been listening to some of your, like I think I've missed 1 to 2 episodes of the last 2, but like Emily Harding you had on a couple of episodes back, Paranormal Investigator, and like that's just a fascinating conversation to have. Like if the only reason to have a podcast would be so that you can have an excuse to talk to these people, where you're not just ringing them up going, "You don't know me, and I don't have a podcast, but I'd love to just talk to you for an hour or two because
Yeah.
it's just it gives you an excuse to have these conversations. It's great."
Uh, It absolutely does. And um in my real life, there's people at work, they know about my podcast now because I have this huge ass fucking magnet of my logo on the side of my truck.
Oh, nice.
And a couple people were like, you know, I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then I looked it up, and it's really good actually. I actually kind of like it. And there was one guy that was working. He doesn't work there anymore, but he just like randomly. I'd never had a conversation with him before, and he walked by me. He goes, "Podcast is amazing," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" you know. And then this lady in the scale house. I told the story on the show a few times, but it's funny because the minute I started the pod, people started saying weird shit to me without even knowing that I have the podcast. And she was talking about this camp that her and her husband go to up north. And she's like, yeah, the lake is nice. We go fishing, and then Bigfoot starts throwing rocks in the water to let us know that it's time to get out of there. And I'm like, what? And
What?
then she probably thought I was like, you fucking weirdo,
Mm.
but I was like, what? As in like, please tell me more.
Yeah,
And
elaborate.
yeah, and she's like, well, I don't know if it's Bigfoot, but something throws rocks at us, and I'm like, that's probably Bigfoot.
It's,
Is what I
it's
said to
probably,
her.
statistically speaking, it's probably Bigfoot. That's crazy. Did she
Yeah.
ever? Did you ever get a follow up to that? Did she ever say like it's still happening or?
No, I should actually ask her. It's been a while since I've
Oh,
conversated because in the scale house we used to have to clock in in the scale house and clock out. So I used to go in there, and we used to have to, when we weighed in our trucks, we used to have to go in and sign a piece of paper. But now they changed the whole system, and like nobody ever goes in there and talks to her, and she's probably super lonely. um so I've been meaning to go in and actually like have a conversation with her lately. I just haven't. But I'd be curious to if she's actually seen a Bigfoot. I should have asked her when she told me that, but I was just like, "That's crazy. That's definitely Bigfoot." She's like, "Yeah, I mean, maybe." And I'm like, no, it is
It
for sure.
is. But that's also the difference between real life and when you're on, if you're doing a podcast or if you're on YouTube or like if you're just doing a print interview. Like when someone says stuff to you like that in your day to day, you're not ready for it. You're just like,
No.
oh, okay. And then you're kind of an hour later, you're like, wait, did they say their daughter's possessed? And did I just ask him? Yeah, well, I'm busy too. I gotta go. Like, whereas if you're in the right frame of mind and the right setting for that, you will have immediately 17 follow up questions. Like, is Bigfoot throwing big rocks? Is it boulders? Like, are you talking? Would it take the strength of two hands? Are we talking? Is he skimming stones? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. So I had a question for you. So when you sit down and you're writing your stories, do you like what's your writing ritual? Do you have to have a drink and a snack, or do you need a cigarette? Do you have music playing? Like what's that writing process for you?
The writing process for me is getting to the point where I will write because I'm not the most disciplined writer. That's definitely something for me. Like they really say, if you want to write, you should be writing every day to build up those muscles. That's something I struggle with. And I think also just we live in the real world. Like you're like, well, that's great, but I gotta earn money. I want to have a relationship with my wife. I've got these other things I want to do. So for me, it kind of gets to this kind of like pivot point where it's like, okay, I've got this idea. I really want to get it down. And I now have this time that I can do it in. And that's so for me, some of it is just practical, just real life, having this window where I can say I can sit now for 3 to 4 hours and lose myself in this imaginative, creative thing that I want to do. And as far as ritual goes, not really. I would listen to music more often than not when I'm writing. I find sometimes like I benefit more from listening to music that I know, either music that I know or instrumental music. Because I find if I try to listen to new music, I'm trying to write, but I'm also trying to listen to their lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in grievous danger of like committing copyright fraud because the next thing I look at the page and I'm like, that sounds very like that song that I was just listening to. But so I tend to listen to like stuff I know or instrumental music because it just flows through my head. Then it just kind of is a good motivator. And yeah, look, that's it as far as ritual. Like I don't really have that kind of the little kind of ticks and foibles some people have for as you say, like how they set themselves up for writing. For me, it's just having the practical space in my real life to do it, and just making myself sit down. And look, it's Kevin, you probably get the same. I think everybody who writes gets the same thing. Maybe not Stephen King. I don't know. I haven't asked him, but like it's the blank page. Is you're sitting in front of this blank page, whether it's a sheet of paper or more often than not now it's you're looking at the computer. You've got this blank page. There's this one single cursor blinking, waiting for you to start typing, and it's almost like saying, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" And it's just getting through that blank page. I find like there's days I write stuff and I look back at the next day and I go, that is trash, and I delete
Yep.
most of it. And there's days where I write stuff and go, that's trash, and then the next day I look at it and go, geez, that's actually pretty good, or that's salvageable. So like I think for me the main thing is you have to write. Like I know that sounds stupid because like to write you have to write, but like I think like any pursuit, like for me, I could spend a lot more time thinking about writing, talking about writing, listening to podcasts about writing, reading books that I'm like, this is for research. Like you can do all the things around it, but you need to do the thing. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
that's for me. And that's as someone who I say self-confessed procrastinator, plate spinner. I'm just like, Brian, this is great, but now you need to sit down and do the work.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of like the same way. Sometimes I'll listen to music, sometimes I won't at all. Sometimes I'll watch a movie while I'm writing. Um I'll be because I started writing on my phone because I found that to be a little bit easy. It sucks on my thumbs because I
Mm.
get cramps. I get a lot of cramps in my left hand now because of it. But I wrote my entire script that I put into competitions on my phone,
Wow.
and the script for Densmore Manor is on my phone as well. So it kind of it's convenient because whenever I have the next idea, I just pull out my phone instead of coming down here into the studio to sit down and write. Now I wrote my books on the laptop. I came down and gave it a little bit here and there. Um, but yeah, it's something about being around the family and watching, like, having background noise and just sitting there somewhere comfortable around everybody that, that I love, and being able to just, like, create, even though sometimes it pisses me off because I'll be trying to hit, like, one letter and I keep hitting the different letter, like, over and over again, and I'll have to backspace and hit it, and I'm like, "All right, let's use the pinky because that's smaller," real quick. And but that's like that's the only thing that really irritates me other than the cramping, is that sometimes I have to sometimes I hit the wrong letter over and over again. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my ritual in a
That's
way.
really interesting. That's really good though, because that, like, obviously, like you said, you feel like you're in this safe space, like you're with your family, your loved ones. You got a movie on or whatever in the background, and like you said, because you're using your phone. I'm guessing there's this element of, like, because you're not going down to the studio, you're not sitting in front of the laptop, so it's not kind of like, I'm going to write now. This is almost like going back to being kids. Like, this is homework time now. This is serious. Like, you're kind
Yeah.
of almost in this kind of comfortable trance with your family in the safe space. You're on your phone, which is like a familiar thing to be. We're all on our phones all the time anyway, let's face it. And
Yeah.
then suddenly your brain's like, okay, I will create now. You have given me, it's like some people like light scented candles and like they get, like, like the world music Enya going in the background. Like, your brain's like, family's around me, I'm on the couch, movie's on. Okay, perfect. Here we go.
Um,
Like, that's great.
Ex- ex- yeah, and I enjoy it. And there was, when I was re-editing my script that I put into competitions, I was sitting. So my girlfriend has she works from home, so she has a little office area like right next to the living room. And so, like, I just, like, had printed my script up, and I did all my editing with a red pen, and then I went back into my phone and I rewrote it, instead of, like an idiot, instead of just going back into my file and, taking out what I didn't like and stuff and doing that. I literally rewrote the entire thing. So I'm just sitting there at the desk with my phone and freaking the script right here in front of me, and I'm just like, "Do-do-do, and it took me forever, and I don't know why I did it that way, but that's the way I did it. I just rewrote the entire thing while I was and what part I mean, in a way, it kind of worked out because I'm sitting there going over it, and I'm looking at things that I didn't edit with my pen, and I changed it while I was writing it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I changed some dialogue, some sentences. I noticed that I try to take off on conversations a lot with, like, a well, like, well, this, and I'm like, that why are they constantly saying well? Just talk, god damn it.
Yeah, it's hard, and also, like, when, like, I'd assume even more so when you're writing a script, like, it must be hard to not make every character sound like you. I know obviously you have in their head like an
Mm.
accent or their motivations, but like I said, when you're writing dialogue, because, like, I know exactly what you mean. Like, as in, like, we all start sentences like with well or so or whatever, and you're like, no, these are meant to be, 4 or 5 distinct different people who need to speak differently. So look, you're not alone there. Like, they might, like, the first draft of How to Contact the Living, I wrote that longhand, so, like, on paper.
Oh
And
shit.
and, like, as in, I think part of me was like, this is my first book, this is how writers write. Like, I'm not doing that. I wouldn't mind writing, like, a short story longhand, but a novel. So, like, I basically wrote like 2 drafts of it longhand, and then the third draft was me, much like you said, there were, your phone and the screen. Like, I had the notebook in front of me, and I'm typing it into the computer, and I was literally like, man, Bryan Farrell, I fucking hate you. Like, I was like, why did you make me do this? But again, I will say, similar to that, like, you do pick up on stuff. Like, same as you, I picked up on characters saying, like, oh man, like, why is everyone saying this? Like, why is everyone, or like, even just in the text itself. So you definitely do pick up on stuff, but I think you also, like you said, like, you're not going to do that again. Like, you know, you definitely, like, it's a learning
Yeah.
process. You're like, I am not doing that to myself a second time. So I guess there's the learning that you get out of it is something to assuage some of the butt hurt you get at the time.
Yeah. I think the next time, because I might have to edit the script for Densmore Manor. I'll just send it to myself an email and then open it up on the computer and edit it that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm always doing with stuff. Because I have the same as you. I have like a notes app on my phone. Even back in the day, I used to send myself stuff on like WhatsApp or Messenger or something. But then I email it to myself and then take it from there onto the laptop. But sometimes it's just like, why is this so hard? Like, why do I have 4 steps before I can start typing something? But stuff like that does save you in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I don't want to sit there and redo an entire script on my phone ever again.
Ever again.
Never again. Never ever. So do you other than the 13 stories, do you have like another project that you have in the works right now?
No, that's kind of the focus for now. So I am with 13 stories. Like, 13 stories is basically meant to collect all my short stories up until this point. So there's stories in there that are like about 25 years old that
Oh
I've never
wow.
really, that I've never really done much with. And then the stories that are from the last 10 years. And then, like, I'm actually adding a couple of new stories. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So that's really my focus. So for now, it would be rounding those stories off, getting everything edited together. Like you said, Kevin, big thing is the formatting. So just getting that together. So that's my focus. I've a few ideas for future stuff, but I think, again, for me, I just know I just get mentally exhausted really quickly if I try and do too much. So I'm just like, do this thing and then move on. So that's the focus. But I guess for me, it's always going to be something, you know, it's never going to be too far away from being like spooky or supernatural or paranormal. I think, like, the same way you said, you're like, why do I work cults into everything? Like, I think everyone has their tropes or their themes that they really enjoy or that they really like, speaks to them. And, you know, and I think for me, that's ghosts, or I mean, cryptids as well and stuff like that. I love all of that, anything supernatural. But I think ghosts specifically, if I look at what I write, and I look at the movies I really enjoy and the things I enjoyed growing up, it's specifically the paranormal and the afterlife and ghosts is something that really speaks to me. So it's probably always going to be around that realm.
Yeah. That's amazing. The all the what you're working on sounds fantastic. I really want to get your other 2 books too, because I think that first of all, like I told you earlier, the premise of the ghost cop trying to solve his own murder, that's a fantastic storyline, and
Thanks,
I
Kevin.
can't wait to see how you wrote it. But I do have a very serious question for you, so I need you to take it very seriously. What is your favorite scary movie?
Oh, can I jump off the call now? This is too much. This is too much pressure. Okay, if you ask me that 7 times in a row, you'll get different answers.
Yeah,
But today, when you ask me, my answer will be The Frighteners. Have you ever seen The Frighteners?
with Michael J. Fox.
Exactly, that one.
Yeah.
Like, that movie. And again, like, there's obviously, like, for all of us, when you talk about movies love, there's the quality of the movie, but it's also so much to when you saw it first, the age you were, the impact it had. And, like, for me, The Frighteners, like, if anyone who's listening hasn't seen it, like, it's basically Michael J. Fox is a widower. His wife was killed under mysterious circumstances. Because of the accident that killed his wife, he is able to see and talk to ghosts. And he uses this amazing power to basically become a fraud paranormal investigator, where he gets these 2 ghosts to go into houses, start shit, and then he goes in and charges a bundle to get rid of the ghosts. And but then him and his ghost friends are faced with an actual real ghost that is killing people and killing all the spirits. And it's all very, like, it's directed by Peter Jackson, so it's the last thing Peter Jackson did before he did Lord of the Rings. So he had done, like, splattery kind of Evil Dead type movies in the, like, Dead Alive and stuff like that in the early 90s. and then he did The Frighteners, and the next thing was Lord of the Rings. So it's really like kind of blockbustery, like it's got a nice mainstream feel to it. It's not too wacky, but it just, yeah, that's, so I'll say The Frighteners. Like there's so many movies I could insert there. Kevin, I'll put the pressure back on you. If you had to answer that question right now, what would you say?
Oh shit! I didn't want to answer that question. um, I would have to say, I the Babadook. I think.
Oh, okay,
I think
good one.
that one I watched that as an adult and it scared me. So I think that I would go with that one. It deals with grief and mental health and suicidal ideation and stuff like that, and that's where the monster really thrives from. So, and it freaking that movie that got me. But yeah, like you, my answer will change with the wind. The change in the direction of the wind, I'll be like, oh well, today.
Yeah, and that's okay too. That
Yeah.
like that's okay. But no, the Babadook was a good one, and like that was real. Like that was kind of the start of that elevated horror stuff. I hate doing the inverted commas, but when people talk about elevated horror, like Hereditary and the Babadook and stuff, where it's it's about this, but it's also about this, and like that was real. Like that was really the start of that, which I like. Like sometimes I don't like elevated horror when they forget to make it scary. Like it's like, yeah, you made a movie about all the subtext stuff, like the grief or the generational trauma, but you forgot to make it scary. But when they get it right, and like the Babadook, geez, that when that is scary, it is like watching through your hands type of scary. So that's a good one.
Yeah, for real. For real. I think when it has to do with ghosts is when I get the most scared.
Same.
But my go-to is always the Evil Dead. Always.
Yeah.
Like if I can't think of anything like right in that moment and I'm like, I'm kind of like in between movies, right? I'll just say Evil Dead. Evil Dead all the time. And that's the 70s version with Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. That's the one.
And then
Yeah.
The Evil Dead 2 was even great, and then Army of Darkness was fantastic. I didn't really the way they executed the remake. They did it well. I just didn't really care for it. Like, they made it look good, and didn't look cheesy like like the one in the 70s. But that's what they had to work with in the 70s.
For
I
sure.
think it was 2013
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
2011. Oh,
No,
okay.
2013. I think you're right. Did you watch the one from a couple of years ago? Evil Dead Burn? No, Evil Dead Rise. Sorry,
Rise.
Rise.
Burn is coming.
Burn is coming. Rise is the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Rise. I think I went to the movie theater for that
Yeah, we did.
with my daughter, and it's and then I got really upset because the kid died in the hallway, and I was like, they killed a kid. I was like, what the hell, man? Oh man, like I said, I never expect them to do that. That's so
I
like when they do,
yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I was exactly the same, because I remember when the trailers to that came out, and it had like as you said, like there's three kids. Yeah, there's the mother and the aunt, and then there's three of the main kids. And I was like, oh, this sucks, because I was like, well, you can't kill the kids, and this is meant to be an Evil Dead movie, but almost everybody dies unless Ash is in it, unless Bruce Campbell's in it. And I was like, oh, like, are they trying to like appeal to like younger generation or something like that? And then you're watching like, no, everybody is fair game to die regardless of age in an Evil Dead movie. So I was impressed that they went there.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And they executed it really well. I think the woman that played the mom, I can't think of her name right now, but I think she did an amazing job acting that out
Yeah,
for sure.
she was very good. She's an Australian actress. I can't think of her name, but yeah, she is good. I've seen her in a few things over the years, and yeah, she's good, and she was really good in that, like really physical, and they needed her to be really creepy and kind of gangly and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fantastic. All right, Brian. So my favorite closing question, well, actually my only closing question is, are you finding fulfillment in your life with what you're doing?
And I know you asked this, Kevin, because I've heard you ask other people. And I was thinking to myself, today, how will I answer this? Because I don't want to be disingenuous and say, like, yeah, everything's fantastic. I'm 100% fulfilled. I am maximizing living my best life. But like for me, it's day to day, moment to moment. I would say right now, talking to you, I am immensely fulfilled. When I am having a good writing day, I'm fulfilled. When I'm with my wife and we're doing something we love doing, like, whatever that is, like out in nature, taking a walk, watching a horror movie. Actually, we rewatched Drag Me to Hell over the
It's a good
weekend.
one.
A great
That's a good
one.
one.
And
Mhm.
again, like, there's times like that where I just look around me and go, like, this is the life that I always hoped I would get to lead. So in those moments I'm fulfilled. There's other moments where I'm just an absolute sopping wet ball of rage and frustration, or just like the morning you get out of bed and the first thing you do is like you drop a glass of water and you're like, well, that is a signal for how this day is going to go for the rest of the day. So I would say when I am fulfilled, I am 100% fulfilled. And then there's the other times.
Yeah, I think we all have those days for sure. It's weird. I get those days a lot when I'm writing, and then I'll be like, "That nobody's gonna like this. This is shit. I don't. What am I doing? I feel like I guess it's like an imposter syndrome kind of thing. Like I'm not a fucking writer. Nobody fucking likes this. Nobody's gonna like this kind of thing. Um, but then the next day I'm like, this is fantastic. I'm living the best life.
That's like
Everybody,
it. Yeah.
everybody's gonna love it.
Yeah, that's it. This is genius. Who wrote this? And like, I wrote this yesterday. But yeah, that's look. And I think if most people are honest, like you said, that's it. Like, as in, it is that roller coaster, isn't it? Like, you have your up days, you have your down days, and like all you can do is, I think, when you're having the down days, remember that it does go up again. And when you're having
Yep.
the up days or the up times, look around you and go, this is great. And like for me, like I said, like I can't say 100% fulfilled all the time, but am I happy in general? Do I consider myself very lucky to lead the life I lead and have the wife I have and the family I have and get to do these different pursuits that I love doing? Absolutely.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I'm happy for you. I really am.
Thanks,
Um,
Kevin.
so Brian, one last time, if you don't mind, let the good people know where they can find your books and they can find you if they want to connect with you.
Yeah, sure. So I am pretty active on Instagram, probably more active than I should be when I should be writing. So Instagram is paranormal_punk. And as I said, the website is bryanfarrellauthor.com, Brian with a Y. That's the main two places. Like, I'm on Goodreads. If someone's read the book and they haven't reviewed it yet, please go on Goodreads and immediately leave a 5-star glowing review. Same on Amazon. But those are the main places to find me, and I'm always happy to. I get random. Again, probably like you, Kevin, doing the podcast stuff. I get a lot of random messages on Instagram now where people just want to talk to me about like a paranormal thing or a horror movie or something, and they always kind of start with, "I'm sorry to message you," and then they get a longer message back from me within 5 seconds, going, "Yes, I love this movie too. Let's message about it for the next hour." So I'm always happy to hear from people, whether it's people who've read my books or just love talking about horror and everything spooky.
Nice, man. That's awesome. All right. Well, Brian, thank you for taking this time out of your day to chat with me. Time is our greatest currency. So the fact that you joined me for this hour and so, an hour and 11 minutes, means the absolute world to me. And it was an absolutely fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. So
Thank you,
thank you.
Kevin. Likewise, thank you in return for your time.
All right, and for the listeners, all of Brian's links will be in the show notes. But if you don't mind, like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and a review. If your podcatcher does not allow you to leave a rating or a review, please consider doing so on the website where the weird ones are, podcast.com. That's also where you can get hot sauce, some merch like the shirt behind me here. That is if you're watching anyway and not listening. I also have coffee, some supplements, some short stories. I've been writing a lot of blog posts lately. And the Kickstarter link is also on the homepage for Secrets of Densmore if you're interested in helping me support my first indie horror film, I'd greatly appreciate it. But if you don't, a share would be fantastically appreciated as well. But other than that, you guys all know the drill. Question everything and stay weird.
In the quiet of the night, when the world feels far, there's a voice through the static, like a falling star. It calls the misfits, the dreamers, the ones who see the shadows in the corners, the truth we barely believe. From the pine tree woods to the desert skies, they talk of ghosts and aliens with wonder in their eyes, not afraid to ask the questions that others won't dare, 'cause the world gets strange when you stop and stare. Come gather around where the weird ones are, by the fireside glow or a midnight car, where the stories run deep and the secrets fly like owls in the dark or stars in the sky. If you've ever felt lost, like you don't belong, you found your place, you found your song, right here where the weird ones are. They'll talk of cryptids, time slips, and deja vu, of spirits that linger, and what might be true. But more than the monsters, it's the people you'll find who dare to be open with curious minds. It's not about fear, it's the thrill of the ride, to question the world with wonder as guide. So pull up a chair, let your freak flag fly, we're the seekers of truth beneath the sky. Yeah, come gather around where the weird ones are, on the moonlit thoughts and cosmic scars, where the veil feels thin and the questions burn, and we chase the strange at every turn. You're not alone, not in the dark, you're with the tribe. You found the spark right here where the weird ones are. For the ones who wonder, for the ones who know, welcome home.